Any takeaways from SummerSlam? That was the big event of the
Um,
week.
my biggest personal takeaway from SummerSlam. First of all, let me just say. Let me say this. So I was in Detroit last
Yes.
weekend for the High Spots did a WrestleCon. Not highly. It didn't draw very well. It was at the old Kobo, but Saturday, which would be you would think would be the busy day, they started out in downtown Detroit with a Tiger baseball game. So as I'm leaving about 2:10, I'm leaving the WrestleCon. I'm gonna go. I'm in my with my sister and her wife, and we're gonna go to the Hudson Cafe and have brunch. So we have to go park in the parking garage. Then we had to walk to the Hudson Cafe. So downtown Detroit was between the baseball game getting out and the SummerSlam crowd walking towards Ford Field. I mean, Woodward was just packed. It was like 1966 Detroit, just on a Saturday afternoon. It was so many people. And I was very happy to see NWO Detroit shirts that were part of the sale.
The
So very
Detroit
happy.
World Order, right? Was that the
Yeah, Detroit World
DWO?
Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me happy. I saw the dude came up to me. I said, "Is that a WWE shirt?" He said, "It sure is." I said, "Nice, thank you." I asked. I asked if I could be involved. I asked if I could be the master of ceremonies. I'm not bullshitting. I
Of what?
asked
Of what?
of SummerSlam.
Did you?
I asked. Deaf ears, baby.
Hmm.
Guess they didn't want this motherfucking liberal anywhere near that program.
So, what did you envision yourself doing?
Just being charming.
Opening? Nope. Something in ring, or,
I was
or
hoping
uh,
about just on the ramp, Welcome to Detroit.
right?
Just,
Okay.
easy.
I didn't know if you meant on. I didn't know if you meant on the commentary to open the
No,
show with them.
just I would have been great with a camera crew, like outside of Ford Field, talking to the Detroit fans and the fans from around the world that came in.
You probably just didn't give him enough time. He probably would have went along with it if
I
there
don't
was
know. I
enough time
don't
to.
know how much more time I can give them. It was like a couple months.
Oh,
I think that they think that I would just probably would have said nah, but I would have actually done it because I was there.
you were there, and the push for the merch with the Detroit logo on it now, Detroit World Order. It kind of made a little bit of sense. All
Nice.
right.
But my biggest takeaway from the show itself,
Yes, that's what I meant.
the
Yeah.
actually wrestling event was, um, I thought that the match, I thought the Lesnar number one, I did not think that Lesnar and Cody would go on second. I did not think that would be the second match of the night.
Right.
I did think that the physicality of the match for the first 90% of it was what it would be, the same as Cody basically takes, the beating of a lifetime. And then, Brock ends up stopping himself, and then Cody hits him with 355 cutters, and boom, finally he beat Lesnar. But the thing that I was afraid that they had pushed, like, I didn't know how manufactured Cody was, if it was because of the Peacock special and like all the things. It's just like, is the machine pushing him, or are the people really behind him? And
But it could be both.
yeah, it could be both. But I think that Brock, and I found out this later, that Brock, it was not in the script, nor was it discussed that Brock at any time would raise his hand after the match was over, would shake his hand and raise his hand. So I think that was, um, and I think that was impromptu on Brock's behalf because it was like like Brock felt he was worthy, and I think that did, uh, I mean, just volumes spoke volumes for how Brock felt about Cody, which changed my opinion because I've never been in the ring with Cody, so I just don't know how. But obviously, you feel that energy when you're in the ring with a guy that he is over, and he's super over. Because I mean, Monday night he had 2 sing-alongs on the way down. He had one halfway down where he stopped and he touched the floor and they did the little thing, and then he had one when he got to the ring before he got in, another little sing-along. So 2 sing-alongs.
That's an indication of what's to come.
That's you're over. You're over.
Yeah.
So I was very happy because the roster's not that, it's not that full. So you can't afford to mishandle a talent, and they didn't him, and he's over. And I'm proud of him because I think that I think he really loves this business.
Absolutely. I mean, the
You know,
workers
it's just
all
he's
love him.
yeah, it's just I'm happy for him. I'm happy for for Dusty. I'm happy for the Rhodes family. His mom is a sweetheart, and she never doesn't come and say hello to me anytime that we run into each other. So
was that how you would have booked it?
it was the rubber match. You can't. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to beat Cody all the way to WrestleMania? Then he's going to, do the banana peel with Roman? I mean, you got to give him some. To beat Brock it's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch anybody beat Brock because I've heard so many people in the mixed martial arts that like Lesnar just kind of was, he just decided he was going to do this, and he was so strong and so fast, and he was just a monster. If there was no weight limit in the UFC and Brock could have went in there at like 298. Oh,
But that's what I'm saying. Like, would that believability part of you knowing what you know about Brock, would that be weighing into your making it more difficult to make a decision, or is it, hey, it's just wrestling, it doesn't really fucking matter what I know about Brock?
No, I think it. Yeah, I think it does. I think that it definitely. But you know what? When I watched it back, and at the end, I just basically I watched the last 3-4 minutes of the match, and then the after, and I watched that back, and it's like Cody's is big. He's not that much smaller. I mean, he's smaller than him, but I mean, it's not like like Cody's got it's got some size to him.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about height here. I'm like,
overall,
the mass of Brock is,
well, just Brock is I think I don't know who used the term, but I saw it but Brock is a unicorn. Like there's not, when Brock decides he's not going to do this anymore, there won't be anybody that comes along that people say, oh, you know who he's like? He's like Brock Lesnar.
True. Even if you look at the other MMA guys who come before, none of them go near.
None of them were
Brock comes to represent.
None of them were as good as Brock was at a collegiate level to come in and be. And him and Kurt came in at the same time. And the hardest thing you have when you've got shooters is they've been taught their whole life, do not get on your back. And in pro wrestling, you have to flat back. So that's always been the hardest thing for a shooter to learn is like to make it's almost like, okay, everything you've learned since you were 5 years old, take that, put it out the window because now everything you do is going to be based on you kicking out on 2.5.
Mm.
So, but both Brock and Kurt Angle were just amazing at how quickly they took on uh, to the pro circuit. And I forget it was the WrestleMania. It was one after Toronto. Was it? Did they wrestle in Toronto,
Let's see where it was.
guys? Was that where Brock missed that moonsault and a normal human would have died? Was that Toronto? That wasn't Toronto. Dominic says, what was it? Seattle? Yeah, it was Seattle. It was Drowning Pool played beforehand. Um, uh, then Drowning Pool played when Triple H came down. That was a great. I was injured. I had my quad or I had some kind of injury, but maybe who knows, mental. But that was the one where me and Steve just hung out. Steve Austin. Um, but yeah, he for him to be that good coming out of college, to be that good as a pro, and then to go to UFC and become the world heavyweight champion in UFC, it just there's just nobody's going to have that kind of credentials.
In keeping with SummerSlam, curious on what you think as a booker about the Roman Reigns Usos finish.
Where do you go? Where do you go? It's
Could it have been the culmination of the angle, or does the angle have to survive? Because now you run the risk. You can use an NWO analogy. You've thrown out too many T-shirts, so to speak. It was successful across the board. Everyone kind of agrees. And so you get to the Bloodline angle. Could SummerSlam just have been the big blow-off? And everybody goes in a different direction. Did you need to keep it going?
I mean, you've got somebody that's selling merchandise as a tribal chief, and if you take like when, do you remember when they were going into WrestleMania, and Cody cut that promo on him, and he said, "When I beat you, then what's going to happen because now the tribe will leave you and you'll just be," and basically Roman walked like out of the ring and was half-assed babyface by the time he got halfway up the ramp. So you got to be really careful when you pull too many people, too many, So to me, having the brother stop the other brother because maybe he sees, number one, there's going to be the jealousy angle. Why did he get the shot?
But is
Which
that going to draw? It's very different than what the Bloodline has been so far. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I think Roman's at such a different level than the rest of the talent is. There was some word that out rumor wise that Roman was injured, or was nursing an injury. You know, I don't think they're too far off course to correct. They just need like right now, if Finn and those guys made a push at him and they had to realign to save the tribe, it just depends on what the next obstacle to come to the tribe is. Does the tribe pull back together and does it solidify? Then you're going to have the Orndorff Hogan thing, knowing that when is Orndorff going to? He's already,
fourth.
when you get that turn, So it's there's a lot of ways psychology wise. It just depends, I think, on uh, the next obstacle that the tribe has to go through, and Roman has to direct the crew through.
Yeah, I see them galvanizing again as a better option than
Yeah,
fracturing and fighting
I
each other for
absolutely
6
do.
months.
You really want to fucking? I mean, you want to kill that fucking merchandise and that whole
Right.
over. You got through SummerSlam. I mean, a lot of the smarts didn't like it, but I think that like we always used to say, man, in the business, fuck them. We got their money.
Got the money.
Yeah. I'm telling you something right now, man. Fucking Raw shit, fucking bullshit, and I will not fucking watch Raw until next Monday.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. We got you. Fuck off.
Brock Lesnar. I want to get back to SummerSlam for a minute. I don't want to get off this here. The moment at the end of the match, the handshake, the raising of the hand, and the that moment in the ring, which, I mean, we've seen that stuff before. But I did read that Brock was going to be going away for a while, so I thought it was a significant moment. And Paul said at the press conference that it was unplanned, that it
Right.
was something.
So does anybody know why Brock's not going to be around for a while?
Yeah, I didn't see. I don't think it's injury. According to, I think I'm going to read the quote exactly here. So, according to Meltzer, I don't think it's injury. Meltzer said Brock was originally advertised for one of the pay-per-views later this year, but he's not going to be on it. He's going to be gone for a while, no time soon, as far as the next 4 months or something like that. He's not going to be on anything at that point. He will be back for Mania season. That's the situation with him. So I don't know. But the fact that he was gone and took the opportunity in the center of the ring on the pay-per-view to do that with Cody, which was not part of the angle, was a moment for sure. The trilogy having ended. There's a callback to Kurt doing it. Anyway, the reason I'm asking about this is because you, of course, the curtain call moment in Madison Square Garden. A little different because you guys were exiting the company and it was a farewell. But moments that improved moments by workers, breaking kayfabe a little bit. Were you ever, of course, we know about the curtain call, but were you ever moved to acknowledge the victory of the person if it was not planned or part of what was discussed after the match, just because you thought maybe the match was so good? Like, fuck, I had a great match with him. I'm gonna take an extra moment to
I
put him
remember there
over.
was a period where when Lex was just super over, and we ended up at Auburn Hills, and it was just like we couldn't wait until like for Sting to for Starcade. We couldn't wait that long because it was like Lex needed like Lex needed to get the strap, even if it was just for a couple of weeks, because he was just red hot. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember us all um, at that TV going and just talking it over with Eric, and Hulk was on point with it, saying like yes, like he felt it too. Like Lex is just super hot right now, and everything. It was just time to do that favor for Lex. So that would probably be the closest thing I could think of just because the thing was it was supposed to be. I think it pissed Steve off. I think that Steve was pissed that the belt got but it was a short period of time. I don't even know how long Lex had it for, but I know that he went. I'm pretty sure it was Auburn Hills, if I'm not mistaken. He went over at
Hmm.
Nitro.
Right. It's a cool moment. like when stuff like that happens.
Yeah. I think anytime that somebody's, I mean, because one thing about being a pro is you learn to listen to the people. And you can really hear the people. And you know when you have the people or when somebody else does. And I'm sure that Brock did. I'm sure that when Brock, you know, it it's almost when somebody beats you for the third, you know, 2 out of 3, and now you're in that position where they're handing him the belt.
Mm.
It's so fucking flat for Brock not to do that. For Brock to just slide underneath the bottom rope and give Cody that moment without the endorsement is kind of, you know, like
It would
what
have been
Brock.
anticlimactic after
Right,
the
yeah, I
last
mean,
year. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so it just, and I'm sure that Brock didn't put that kind of thought into it. It just went. I'm sure Brock at that moment just didn't feel right. And
Without it. That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Well,
because Brock definitely, you know, definitely, that's one thing that I've learned from watching him is he doesn't get the credit that he should for his psychology, for his ability to sell, for his ability to sell for anybody. You know, he's a pro's pro.
excellent.
I'm a huge fan of Brock Lesnar.